This is Solo in the Shop. On today's episode, I want to share a little more big news from the company and talk about building Superfans and what that entails for a small business. Let's dive in. Whether you are a hobbyist, weekend warrior, making commissions for friends and family, or already a full-time maker, if you are solo in your shop, this is the show for you. I'm Ronald Lowe's, the host of Solo in the Shop, a woodworking podcast discussing everything from current projects, tools and techniques, decisions around running a small business, and much more. So if you frequently find yourself alone and covered in sawdust, follow my journey and we can be solo in the shop together. Hello, friends. I hope you'll indulge a little detour in explaining what I'm thinking about for the business. If any of you are my age or maybe a little younger, you may have seen the movie Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone. There's a particularly funny scene where Sylvester Stallone has been thawed from his cryo prison and reanimated in the future. And he's in the police station and he goes to the bathroom. And he comes out of the bathroom complaining that there was no toilet paper. And they all laugh because instead of toilet paper, there's evidently 3 shells. And they laugh because he doesn't know how to use the 3 shells. Now, being resourceful, Sylvester Stallone walks over to the monitor on the wall and starts swearing at it. And as each time he swears, it issues a paper summons, a ticket for violating the rules on public swearing. He collects all those papers and turns to look at people and says, "Problem solved. I worked it out." I had a similar kind of dream last night. Bear with me. This is all going to circle around back to the business. But in my dream, I had traveled to a country that used essentially chamber pots. And I just was out of my element. I didn't know exactly what the etiquette, what the procedure was. How do you... And it was like, this wasn't at somebody's house. This was like at a Dunkin' Donuts, and there were lockers. And you found a locker with a green light, and it would have a clean chamber pot in it. And you would take that to the bathroom, use it, and then cover it and bring it back to that locker, put it in, close it, and the light would turn red. And people would know, okay, this one's now used. And I was like, completely out of my element. I was like, how am I supposed to use this? What is the etiquette? What's the routine? And it was the first time using a chamber pot. So didn't go perfectly in my dream. And that's an uncomfortable feeling. And to bring this back to my woodworking business, I'm at a stage this week that something else has happened that makes me uncomfortable. And I'm excited by it. It's just like international travel. I'm all in. I'm all for it. But it's something I haven't done. It makes me a little nervous. I'm not sure what the routine's going to be. And the change has been that right after, I shared last week that the company name changed from Handmade by Ronald Lowe's to New England Table Company. Well, at the end of last week, I got a call from Circle Furniture, which is a chain of furniture stores in Massachusetts. Essentially, the message I got was we carry a mix of big name furniture and locally made furniture. And we don't have anyone making live edge tables, and we would love you to supply live edge tables to our stores. What a great opportunity. I was immediately like, yes. I knew Circle Furniture. I've been in a Circle Furniture, and when I was working at Lighthouse Woodworks in Boston, they would send tables to Circle Furniture. Now that agreement has since ended, that arrangement. I didn't know that. But now it's created this opportunity for my little company to start supplying tables into a store that's going to have people browsing that are looking for furniture. And to me, having those qualified potential customers is way, way better than me just broadcasting advertising on Instagram to anyone who's expressed an interest in a table. That's such a huge opportunity. As I started thinking about it, it's also a huge obligation and a demand on my time. And it's going to require adjusting my routine, working out how I'm going to produce the same great quality, but faster. I do think at some point part-time help is going to be required, but I'm very excited by this opportunity, but it's also making me nervous. And I do think that the first couple times it's going to be like getting used to the 3 shells or getting used to a chamber pot. It's something I know how to do. I just need to figure out how it's going to work in this situation. So I hope you followed along with my metaphor. It's crazy how your brain works thinking about bathroom rituals and building tables. It just, for some reason, was correlated in my brain. So that's the big news in the shop. The other thing, and I mentioned this in the last show, was that I've been giving a lot of thought to the idea of Superfans. And I've been reading about it, technically listening about it on podcasts and the Superfans book, of which there's multiple. But I think I listened to the definitive version. If I can find a link, I will put that in the show notes as well. But the question that I was asking myself getting ready for today's episode is, what does extraordinary customer experience in custom furniture look like? And I've talked about great customer service in previous shows, and I kind of want to differentiate great customer service from great customer experience. One of the driving statements on the New England Table Company website is that I want to create the best furniture buying experience each client has ever experienced. And that doesn't just mean make it easy, make it affordable, but it means going beyond their expectations with communication, design, questions, dialogue, photos. The whole customer experience starts with that design collaboration. I do think that a lot of times makers know what they want to make, but I think it's a better experience to make sure that the customers feel heard and that what they envision is the primary driver of the conversation and the design. Having the customers feel like they're part of the creative process kicks off the whole experience in a way that makes them see that it's about them, not necessarily just about me and my shop and here's my product. Because the last thing I want to do is commoditize my product, right? A table isn't just a table. If it is, then the cheapest table wins. A table is the story that the customer wants to tell. It's also the story that I want to share. And it's my interpretation of what they've told me and what we've designed together. The next step in the customer experience is when I go shopping for wood. Most of my clients really want to know what the shape of the table will be, especially for the live edge tables. Some people like the hourglass shape. Some people want it to be roughly rectangular. And they worry about how many cracks and knots and stains and character marks each piece is going to have and how that's going to transform into their table. And they're the ones that have to live with it. So it makes sense to involve them in that part as well. And so when I go slab shopping, I have a field in my CRM that lets me know that this person wants to participate in the slab shopping. So if they, at the very least, I'll take pictures and text those to them and wait for them to say, yeah, I love number 3 or whatever. But the better scenario has been FaceTiming or doing a Zoom call and letting them see it live through my phone and making the decision that way. It really cements the experience for them, and it avoids any confusion down the road. This is what we picked. Sending regular updates throughout the build, I think, is a minimum. If a client wants to, I definitely invite them to come to the shop. It's messy, but I think people have a lot of curiosity about what's happening and how their table's being built. And if you're just buying a table out of a big furniture store, there's not a lot of opportunity to understand where that table came from. So inviting them to drop in, stop by, make an appointment, but come by and see their table in progress is a huge customer experience that we can share with our clients. Explaining that I'm making a table that is of a quality that I would take in my own home is kind of the origin of the put it in my place guarantee, which basically is if I build this whole table and bring it to you and you really don't like it, I will have built a table that is lovely enough that I want it in my house. So I will take it. I will put it in my house. I'll give you your money back, or I'll make you a new table. But giving people that security addresses the risk that they're feeling around putting a deposit down and spending thousands of dollars on a custom table. They just need to know that the risk is mine. I risk having too many dining tables, I guess, but I want them to feel that I am confident that they are going to love the table that I'm making for them. And if they don't, feel confident that I'm not just going to take their money and leave them with a table that they don't love. I've mentioned before that I started building tables and taking pictures and then putting those pictures into a build book. And those build books have become very popular. It is surprising how much of a positive reaction the clients have. It's a minimal effort on my part, but just like dropping in to see the table in progress, they want to know. They want to know about flattening and water popping and C channels and threaded inserts and all the stuff that goes into making a table. That, it's not just sanding a piece of wood and sticking some legs on it. That's not the quality of table that they're getting. So creating a keepsake that they can show their friends that kind of memorializes all the steps that went into their table is a nice leave behind. Other ideas are for creating superfans, leaving them with coasters, giving them a custom handwritten thank you note for being a customer and letting me build their table, and then inviting them to become repeat customers. Obviously, the cost of acquisition of a repeat customer is almost zero, where it's something much larger than zero for a first-time customer. So if you can encourage people who already know your work and have bought your work to buy something else, whether it's smaller or bigger or more, that's huge. And that's worth something. And that is where the discounting is appropriate. I also feel like the same type of discounting should be offered for referrals. So if you really blow a customer's mind with a great table, encourage them to spread the word. And if someone says, hey, so-and-so gave me your name, they order a table, I have no problem saying, hey, a portion of what I'm making on that table is going to get kicked back to the referrer. That seems only fair. They're taking a whole marketing expense that I didn't have to spend. And if I can take a piece of that, give them a thank you and a gift card or a check even, I think that's a great way to keep that brand loyalty going. Other things that can help outside the actual sales process is to encourage people to visit your website, but give them like a behind the scenes look at the shop and at the business and how things run. Maybe host a design workshop, have an event where people can come in and talk about different situations, different rooms, and how furniture can work to make their lives a little better or to elevate, improve the overall appearance of their home. The whole idea is to create superfans. And we haven't talked about what a superfan is, but a superfan is someone who is typically a client, but someone who is familiar with your work and is convinced that in the category of products that you provide, you are the best, and they will happily recommend you and advocate for your business. It costs nothing to have people talking about your business. And the more you can find people that will champion your products and say, hey, if you need a table, this is where you need to go. Those are invaluable. And it's not just the level of, hey, this is where I got my table from. It's someone who's passionate, almost like a religious fervor, that this is where you need to go to get this table. And that is the goal. That is where we're trying to get. Give some thought to your business and what you can do to go beyond the normal experience and make yourself and your products stand out by improving the customer experience to the point where they become your champions. That's what I have for you this week. I look forward to talking to you again in just a few days. Until then, stay safe. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to reach out to me at SoloInTheShop@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you got value from it and would like to help the show grow, I'd appreciate a review wherever you listen. Be sure to check the show notes for links to my socials or any extra stuff we discussed today. Until next time, stay safe in your shop, and we'll talk again soon.